Have you ever noticed that the more we chase happiness, the more it seems to slip through our fingers? Arthur Schopenhauer discovered something humanity prefers to ignore. Reality itself is designed to destroy our peace. What you're about to discover may forever change your relationship with existence. In 1818, a young German philosopher published a work that would shake the foundations of Western thought. The World as Will and Representation wasn't just a book. It was a cruel X-ray of the human condition. Schopenhauer looked into the abyss of existence and saw something most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid: the naked truth about why we suffer. For Schopenhauer, reality isn't what our eyes see or our hands touch. Behind every appearance, every beauty, every moment of joy, there exists a blind and insatiable force he called the will. This will isn't a specific desire. It's the fundamental impulse that drives all existence, from the gravity that attracts stones to the love that makes us sigh for someone. Imagine the will as an eternal fire burning inside every living being. This fire is never completely satisfied. When we get something we desire, the relief is only temporary. Soon we discover that what we thought would be the solution to our happiness was just more fuel for this inner fire. The new job didn't bring the promised fulfillment. The perfect relationship revealed its imperfections. The dream house became just another space where we carry our restlessness. Schopenhauer's genius was realizing this isn't our failure, it's the very structure of reality. We're not the ones failing to find happiness. Happiness is an illusion built on an impossible foundation. We live in a world where the very act of desiring is what keeps us eternally unsatisfied. Think about the moments when you felt truly happy. They were probably brief, almost ephemeral moments, surrounded by long periods of searching, effort, and frustration. Schopenhauer would say these moments aren't happiness itself, but rather pauses in suffering, like a prisoner who feels relief when the shackles loosen without realizing he's still in prison. But if this is true, why has humanity built an entire civilization based on the pursuit of happiness? Why do we keep chasing what we can never truly achieve? Perhaps right now you're feeling a mixture of recognition and resistance. Part of you whispers, "I already knew this," while another part protests, "It can't be that hopeless." This inner tension isn't coincidence. It's living proof that Schopenhauer touched something fundamental about our nature. Remember the last time you conquered something you fought intensely for? Maybe it was a promotion at work, someone special's approval, or even buying something you'd wanted for a long time. There was that moment of euphoria, wasn't there? That feeling that you had finally made it. But how long did it last? A week? A month? Before you knew it, your mind was already looking for the next conquest, the next goal, the next source of satisfaction. We're not talking about weak or spoiled people. We're talking about the universal human condition. The CEO who built an empire still wakes up at 3 in the morning worried about something. The person who found their soulmate still feels moments of profound loneliness. The artist who achieved worldwide recognition still questions the value of their work. This doesn't happen because these people are naturally unsatisfied. It happens because the very will that drives us is, by definition, want. Schopenhauer observed something disturbing. We're like thirsty people in a desert, chasing mirages. Every time we think we've found water, we discover it was just more sand. But instead of questioning whether water exists in this desert, we keep running, more desperate each time, more convinced that the next mirage will be real. Modern society has amplified this process to the extreme. We live bombarded by images of artificial happiness, by promises that there's a formula, a product, a relationship, a lifestyle that will finally give us peace. The result is an epidemic of anxiety and depression in an era of unprecedented material abundance in human history. If this idea has already resonated with you, Imagine what comes next. Subscribe so you don't miss this journey of self-discovery that can change your relationship with existence itself. But here's the most beautiful paradox of Schopenhauer's thinking. Recognizing the illusory nature of happiness is not the end of hope, it's the beginning of true freedom. When we stop fighting against the nature of reality and begin to understand it, something extraordinary happens. We cease being victims of the will and become conscious observers of it. Schopenhauer discovered there are moments when we can temporarily disconnect from this machine of desires that we are. These moments happen when we contemplate something beautiful without wanting to possess it, when we lose ourselves in a work of art, when we observe nature without trying to control it, or when we meditate deeply on existence. In these experiences, the will quiets, and we experience something that transcends both pleasure and suffering. Art, for Schopenhauer, is a portal to this experience. When we look at a Van Gogh painting and are transported by the beauty of the brushstrokes, we're not desiring to possess the paints or be the painter. We're simply being, contemplating, existing beyond the dynamic of wanton satisfaction. For a few moments, we step off the hamster wheel of existence. But there's something even deeper than artistic contemplation, genuine compassion. When we truly understand that all beings suffer from the same condition, all driven by the same blind will, all trapped in the same illusion of seeking happiness, universal compassion naturally develops. We see that the person who hurts us is acting from the same existential pain we feel. The corrupt politician, the noisy neighbor, the ex who betrayed us, all are manifestations of the same blind force that moves us. This understanding doesn't make us passive or resigned. On the contrary, it frees us from personal anger, resentment, the constant need to judge and be judged. We begin to act from a place of wisdom, not emotional reaction. We do what needs to be done, but without the emotional charge that once consumed us. In practice, this translates into small daily revolutions. We stop seeking external validation as a source of happiness. We stop seeing every obstacle as personal injustice. We begin to value moments of quietude and contemplation. We develop a healthier relationship with our own desires. We recognize them, but aren't dominated by them. Schopenhauer practiced this through long solitary walks, reading Eastern sacred texts and philosophical contemplation. He found in Buddhist and Hindu traditions a confirmation of his discoveries. The idea that suffering arises from attachment, that true peace comes from detachment, that wisdom consists of seeing through the illusions we create. But there's an even deeper secret that few know. A discovery that can completely transform your experience of being alive. Schopenhauer's most radical secret is this: the same will that makes us suffer is also what connects us to all existence. We're not separate individuals fighting alone against the world. We're temporary manifestations of the same cosmic force that moves the stars, grows trees, and beats hearts. This revelation is simultaneously terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it dissolves the illusion of the separate ego, the fantasy that we're the center of our own story. Liberating because it shows us we were never truly alone. We were always part of something infinitely greater. When Schopenhauer looked deeply into the nature of reality, he saw that individuality is like a wave in the ocean. The wave may seem separate, may have its own form and movement, but it's always ocean water. When the wave dies, the water doesn't disappear. It simply returns to its source. Our deepest fears, death, abandonment, insignificance, arise from the illusion of separation. When we understand that we're temporary expressions of universal will, these fears lose their power over us. Death is no longer the end of me, but the dissolution of a specific form that consciousness temporarily assumed. This understanding changes everything. Success and failure become events in the life of the will, not personal dramas. Love ceases to be possession and becomes recognition. We see in the other the same essence that pulses in us. Loneliness reveals itself as impossible when we realize we carry the entire universe within us. Schopenhauer found in this vision not the nihilism many attribute to him, but profound peace. He wrote, "All love is compassion," because to truly love is to recognize in the other the same suffering, seeking being that we are. So let's return to the initial question: why does reality destroy happiness? Schopenhauer's answer is that reality doesn't destroy happiness. It reveals that happiness, as we seek it, never existed. What exists is something much deeper, the possibility of transcending the constant search and finding peace in the very nature of existence. It's not about stopping living or becoming apathetic. It's about living with wisdom, acting without being enslaved by results, loving without possessiveness, existing without the constant need to justify or improve this existence. Life continues to be a mystery, but it stops being a problem to be solved and becomes an experience to be lived consciously. Every moment of suffering becomes an opportunity for deeper understanding. Every instant of joy is appreciated without the expectation that it lasts forever. Schopenhauer offers us what few philosophers dared, not the promise of happiness, but something more valuable, the promise of understanding. And perhaps in the end, we'll discover that deep understanding of life is more satisfying than any happiness we could have imagined. If this journey touched something in you, if these words awakened questions that already silently inhabited your soul, don't let this transformation die here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and especially share this message with someone who needs to hear they're not alone in their search for meaning. Sometimes the greatest kindness we can do is plant a seed of understanding in the mind of another human being who, like us, is trying to make sense of this mysterious existence we share.